All right, how's everyone doing? I'm Rich Celenza. Thanks for tuning in to the Rich Celenza Show. WTF are you talking about? So what I want to get into today is regarding people. And this may come off a little offensive, some of the things I'm going to say, which I could care less. But what I'm going to kind of call this podcast is People Are Problems. And one thing I think we have to realize in our life is a lot of our problems come from the people we're surrounded by. And we really don't even acknowledge that. And I just want to make it clear, obviously a lot of us have parents that are still alive. We have siblings. We have aunts, uncles, cousins. We have colleagues. We have old friends. We have tons of people that we love. And I'm not talking about all these people, even though maybe some of these people will fall into this category. Yeah, and I should have mentioned, obviously, husbands, wives, partners, whatever. So, so let me dive right into this. So I don't think a lot of people really realize that who's making them miserable a lot of times are the people they're surrounded by. And I think I call it kind of giving a pass. A lot of times we keep giving people the pass, and it could be people that keep hurting us, lying to us, doing all different types of things to us. And again, that can be family members, that could be friends, colleagues, whatever the case may be. And I'm here to tell you, if you don't either straighten them people out or get rid of them, your life is going to be in a miserable loop, probably continuously. And again, I know it's impossible to say, if you have parents that are driving you crazy or whatever, there's a difference between having parents and siblings, that, do a lot of crazy shit. You got to have patience too. So don't think I'm telling you to cut people out of your life. That's ridiculous. Right? Our parents, our grandparents, we all love them. And how would we not? And you definitely need to have a lot of patience. And I've realized getting older with my parents is the older I get, the more I have in common with my parents. I've kind of caught up to them where I realize now my kids, how kind of I'm further removed from them. I have a lot more in common with probably to a certain degree my parents than my kids because they're growing up in an entirely different environment that I grew up in. And I grew up in an environment that was closer to my parents. That doesn't mean that I'm not willing to accept my children, my kids' opinions, but they also got to realize they better respect mine. And I think that's where things get a little fishy or a little complicated. But here's the thing too, is especially in relationships. So I have a program I'll call Mastering Self-Confidence, the blueprint to trying to help men, find the woman or women of their dreams. And I get into a lot of different things in there, and it's really, it's not about just finding the woman, but what's going to happen is you have to go through usually a lot of women for you to most likely walk into a place right now and find the one and only one probably for you for the rest of your life, or if you're looking to get married or whatever. The odds are way against that. They're way against that. So you're going to have to meet all different types of women and kind of screen through them. It's a screening process. As much as people don't want to accept it, that's what they should be doing. Because I always said, a lot of times we settle, which is horrible. But it's like a pages in a magazine, I always say, kind of like turn the page. You got to kind of keep moving forward until you find the article or something that catches your eye that you're interested in reading. If it was a magazine, say, for instance, and it would just be like if you're screening through your television looking for a television show or a movie or whatever the case may be. You have to do that in relationships, obviously. I think you need to do that too. And that doesn't mean you have to sleep with tons of people. That just means I believe you have to become friends and figure out what type of person this is. And that takes time. And a lot of people don't have patience. They kind of want to, meet somebody, go on a first date. A lot of times they have sex, or from the first to the 3 days, they have sex. They all of a sudden think they're in a relationship, all this shit. I'm not going to get into that. But a lot of times we end up in relationships where we're absolutely miserable. And we don't want to admit it. And if you've been in a bunch of relationships, then you're kind of embarrassed. And you're kind of thinking, is this my fault? Is it them? Why does this keep happening to me? Whatever. But I always talk about, too, is you're dodging a lot of bullets with people. You come across probably like I do, lots of people. That doesn't mean I have to be friends with every one of these people or, that I have to keep in touch with them or all these different things. I'm more selective, and I also travel by myself a lot, even though I do have a lot of friends, and I truly love all my friends. And anyone I hope that would talk about me knows I usually will take the high road. But if I get huffy puffy, I call her pissed off, I'm going to just blast them. And I would expect them the same. I get blasted too sometimes if I'm doing something or saying something, especially from maybe even my mother or my girlfriend Rhea or something, my close friends will be like, hey, or my cousins will like kind of call me out on things, maybe even work related, and they should, they should do that to me. And again, back to people in general, I think we need to start understanding that is we are always evolving, and who we kind of even hung with, or what our thought process is at one time is changing, and a lot of times those people's, or people or whoever, their thought process isn't changing, or they're changing, and you're not willing to change. And just because they could be old friends or people you've always hung with throughout your life, they may be doing different things that you don't find acceptable, or they may be going religious, hypothetically, another way that you may not find comfortable, or get into discussions, because I've been involved with on both ends. People have gone and lived their criminal lifestyle who I love very much, and then I've had people that become religious freaks. Wasn't interested in going that route, and you got to kind of figure out where you stand there. And it's not that you have to eliminate people out of your life, but you do have to sometimes realize, I'm not going to be either spending as much time with this person or giving as much energy to this person. And you may see that as well, and I see that with people too. They may be kind of weeding out of my life, and I think I'm smart enough to say, you know what, I don't have anything really in common with this person anymore. So they can weed out of my life. That doesn't mean I can't go to dinner with them once in a while, or I'm on Facebook, or you do, I have to unfriend them or anything in that nature. But it does, I think, show sometimes you just have to be a little more intelligent regarding relationships. And especially if you're dating someone, that's a whole nother thing, because I always say you want to always end it on a positive note. If things aren't feeling right and you just can't seem to balance things out, be open about it. Don't go hurt the other person. Don't lie. Don't ghost them. Don't do that shit. You wouldn't want it done to yourself. Really, I think it really comes down to a lot of life is treating people the way you want to be treated. It may not always happen, but if somebody does stiff you and you treat them well and they stiff you, they've exposed their colors and they're out. That's actually a good sign a lot of times, because a lot of times we don't know who's who. You think you know them just because you may have even been friends with them from childhood, or you've known them for 15 years, 20 years. A lot of times they may be changing into something you don't want, or you truly never just didn't know that they were a bullshitter, or they were whatever they were, or they're again, back to changing. They're not the same person they were. As you know, a lot of people, as we get older, they start drinking more. Some even end up going in to do drugs, but then others start to get healthier too. You got to decide which ones you want to be around. And it doesn't mean just, and here's the thing that really does drive me crazy regarding people, though. I will say this. Like I was just describing, like a toxic situation. Say you're in a toxic situation with your friends and they're aggravating you, or they're doing things that are putting you in jeopardy of things. It could be getting drunk. You're going out with them, they get drunk, they start fights. I've had that happen. Then you end up getting arrested. Why would your friend even put you in that position? You go out with them, you're both drinking, and then, or you're both doing something, then he wants to drive home. You're like, no, and he insists, and then you're getting in an argument with your own friend. I'm just using those for examples. It could be even work related. They want to do certain things. You're like, I don't want to do that. That's too time consuming. I don't think it's going to work. Then you end up in arguments. Maybe that job's not for you, or working with this person. You just got to be open-minded to say, hey, dude, I don't like working with you. It's that. I like you as a person. I don't think we work together very well. But here's something, though, too, on the flip side of that. I've had friends that get in certain situations where they do screw up and they do need you, right? And there's a difference between somebody putting you in a bad spot or them, kind of hurting themselves. They're not out to hurt you. But I think we have to acknowledge that a lot of our friends, family members, they're going to end up in bad situations. How are you going to treat them during that situation? Are you going to turn your back on them? Or are you going to step in and say, I'm here for you? That doesn't mean financially you're going to destroy yourself, or you're going to put yourself in a situation where it can hurt you. I'm not saying that. But I've had tons of friends, and being in the nightclub industry and all that, get in trouble regarding all different things. There's nothing, maybe I'm wrong, but it's hard to really shock me because of what I grew up seeing and living in. Nothing's really going to faze me to that level. And what I think the one thing is regarding me is people really, I believe, can tell me things, and you're never going to no one's ever going to find out about it, even though I have a podcast. But I'm not going to mention names, and I'm definitely not going to mention events, and I'm never going to tell a secret. It's just not my thing. But a lot of times I see friends screw up and they think it's the end. It could be the end of a marriage, a relationship. They may go out and party. They may do certain things. And the reality is we all fuck up. I can assure you, most likely at different times of our lives. No one dodges all the bullets, I call it. So when I see sometimes like people judging others, especially old friends that say, man, he went out and did this. I can't be friends with him. Or, oh, he's doing this now. I'm not. There's a fine line there. You can also draw to say, hey, this is still my close friend. I'm here for him, even though we may not have the same interest, or he's doing that now. He knows I'm always here for him. But it's when you got to be careful. You don't start being persuaded into doing certain things you don't want to do. And before you know it, like I was saying earlier, then all of a sudden you're in a situation where you could even, again, be in a car and they have drugs, hypothetically. You get pulled over and you're all in the mix. Or you may be who knows what it is. It could be even at work again, and they're doing something and they think you're tied into it and you're not. And then you get in a situation where you tattle on him or beef him out, and then your boss, whatever the case may be. A lot of times we need to protect ourselves. And a lot of times we know certain people, we have friends, or at least I do, or we know people that do a lot of things that may not be, that accepting, but they don't drag us into their bullshit, right? And again, that's still, in my opinion, I still do not want to lose my friendships with a lot of people I know that do certain things. A lot of people will be like, oh, that person's shady. Yeah, well, he is shady. I still like him. I've known him for 30 years. He's funny, and when I need to get a car, he runs a dealership, hypothetically. So I know this guy's shady. He's, he's a nightclub owner, or he works at a gentleman's club. He's, he does this and that. I don't give a shit. He's still a good guy. I still like having fun with this person. It's not like I'm tied into him. And again, a lot of people say the ones that you kind of hang out with are who you become, or that's how you're kind of looked upon. I think that's kind of ridiculous. I did a podcast where you got to teach your kids, and I think people got to learn how to maneuver through the streets. Life's about the streets, no matter what anyone tells you, unless maybe you're a 1%er and you're on All Billionaires, but no matter who you are, you're intertwining with society. Going to bars, going to restaurants, traveling in airports, you can't avoid society. You're going to blend in, right? Even your job. You may have a job and somebody's going to get fired, or maybe a new hire. People are going to be coming and going in and out of your life all the time. But back to don't let anybody make you fucking crazy, because it happens a lot. And usually what makes you crazy a lot of times are people. They're getting under your skin. Again, that could be on social media. It could be politics. It could be religion. If you really look at it at the end of the day, is this person who's driving you crazy or that you're arguing with, is it worth your time? What at the end of the day what did you accomplish out of this? A lot of times you didn't accomplish anything. You actually got more frustration and more aggravation, which is doing nothing for you mentally or physically. Now, if it's a controlled environment where part of your job is disputing, or whatever you're doing, that's a different kind of situation, because that's a more of a controlled manner. What I'm talking about is just letting friends, family members, colleagues, whatever, drive you crazy. And if you're losing sleep at night, if you catch yourself thinking about friends, or you're in a miserable state of mind all the time, and you don't know how to, I guess you could say you don't know what to do. You need to step back and really start learning how to remove people that aren't helping you in your life. Or it doesn't mean that they have to help you. They're just putting you in a state of mind that is very, it's not healthy. And start being, I talk about this in my program, you need to get around people that truly love you, right? And love you. But people that don't also want to hurt you, they're not, they're not misleading you, they're not manipulating you, all these different types of things. And I think a lot of people know these type of people, and they let them still stay in their lives. Why? I have no idea. But that's on you. But again, I know we have certain people in our life that we can't get rid of. But I do think they need to be put in their place. They need to be told where you stand, and also that you're not going to be putting up with their bullshit. And they may feel the same about you, and you understood, right? And I think a lot of us go through that with family members, where we kind of feel at different times because no one's leaving the family for the most part, especially if I come from a big Italian family, and a lot of family members do a lot of things to other family members that you're not even involved in, hypothetically. And you almost get to the position where you take sides, and that can go friendships as well. If you've ever been through a divorce, you may have gone through that as well, or a bad breakup, or friends start taking sides, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. I don't care who did what to a certain degree. I mean, unless it's really off the chart, I can understand. Again, you can keep your distance, but I think a lot of times you don't really know what goes on in other people's relationship. You're only going to get half-truths. You get, if you took a couple, they each tell you their side of the story. They're probably a little bullshit on this one, a little bullshit here, and then there's truth in the middle. So anyways, I'm going to kind of end it there. But yeah, really analyze the people that are in your life. Analyze really how you treat other people in your life and how they're kind of treating you back, I guess, is another thing. Like I discussed earlier, is a lot of people are always like complaining about other people and how they behave or act when they're no better themselves. So definitely something to think about. So if you get a chance, I got a YouTube channel. I usually post on there all different things I do traveling all over North America. For the most part, I go to different restaurants. I go to different gyms, coffee houses, malls. I do give fitness advice. And then I have, I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter. We're on Instagram, but I never post anything on there. So anyways, all right. That's it. Thanks for tuning in. And that's all I got for you. Take care, and I wish you nothing but the best.